What up, what up, what up, what up? It's your boy P. Skip. Welcome to the best half hour of your entire Tuesday. You know what time it is. It's time to get into his course. My squad with me, T-Mac.
Hola.
Chili Will.
Gracias, amigo.
Let's do this. And listen, let's get into this. Today I'm riding solo, so it's just me, Chill, and T-Mac. Couldn't make it today. So let's get into this. I'm going to deal with a kind of a controversial topic, but I still feel like it needs to be dug into. So, now again, I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to report the news and see what the word says about it. Luke chapter 12, verses 2 and 3 in the King James says this. For there is nothing hidden or nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. Therefore, whatever ye have spoken in darkness shall be heard in the light, and that which ye have spoken in the ear in closets shall be proclaimed upon the housetops. I read that because ex-NBA star Dwight Howard is being sued by a man for assault and battery after he claimed the ex-NBA star or NBA player pressured him into having a threesome with a male dressed as a woman. Dwight Howard said this. He texted the man and said, do you want to have a threesome? And the man said, no, I don't, but I'll come over and hang out with you for the most part. In the lawsuit obtained exclusively by RadarOnline.com, Howard's Instagram handle is out there. And according to Stephen Harper, the two met on social media site where the accuser slid into Dwight Howard's DMs and they began to have a conversation. And Howard stated to the man that he told him he's not into, or he was into freaky sexual content, but he was not gay, but send him some pictures of his privates. So after all of that, the man went to Dwight Howard's house, and Dwight Howard asked him, did he want to have a threesome with a man or a woman? Now, Dwight already knew that this was a transvestite. We'll just say it that, a man dressed as a woman. So Dwight Howard asked another man dressed as a woman to come over, and they begin to engage. Here's my thought on all of this. I'm not here to judge what his sexual preferences is. That's not my position. I'm not here to judge who he engages with, male or female. But when a person you're supposed to be having a relationship with tells you no, no means no. No is never going to not mean no. Because whenever someone tells you no and you force them to do it anyway, when it comes to sexual content, that is called rape. And so Dwight Howard is accused of rape. If you want to just break it all down. And the situation is pretty sad because here you are dealing with a man who being who he is with the means he has, can really be with anybody he wants to, for free. But when somebody tells him, no, put the brakes on, don't do it any longer. I'm interested to see how this is going to end up, because I'm sure more is going to come out the longer this sits out there. And there's probably going to be more people who may come out or come to the forefront to say, yeah, and he did this too, and he did this too. This is not a good look for Dwight Howard. And, Dwight has said, y'all have known me, and this is what he said to the press. You've known me my entire NBA career, and you've never seen me ever engage in conflict. That's on the court, sir. What you do in the privacy of your own home, that's on you. And to say that this never happened, Dwight, the man pulled out receipts from Uber that showed that you paid for him to get to your house. So, here's some, and he screenshotted the conversations y'all had on the gram. So this doesn't look good for you. And I hope it turns out okay for all parties. But a lesson here is no means no. When someone tells you no, that's what they mean. Moving on to a different note in NBA. Cleveland Cavaliers guard Ricky Rubio is taking a break from the NBA because he's dealing with some mental health issues. Ricky Rubio is a guard from Spain, and he won't even compete in the FIBA because he needs to put his whole career on hold due to this, getting his mental health correct. This is so important, y'all. All throughout the Bible, it talks about mental health. It talks about let this mind be in you, which is also in Christ Jesus. It also says, set your mind on things that are above. But then it says, as a man thinks, so is he. And so if you've been thinking you're tired, you're spent, I don't have anything else to give. If you've been thinking that mentally, then your body will start to react to how you think. And so whatever you need to do to get your mind in a place of health, in a place of safety, so that you don't do long-term damage to yourself, I want you to do that. Even Brittany Griner right now is dealing with the same thing. And Ricky Rubio stepped away from the Cavs for undisclosed time. And Brittany Griner stepped away as well for, I think, maybe 3 or 4 games. And this is during the season. People, take your mind seriously. I think the thing that we neglect so often, when we're tired physically, we go to sleep. We understand that. When you feel drained spiritually, you understand, I need to hear the word. I need to be fed the word. But mentally, again, let me say this. We are a spirit as Christians. We possess a soul and we live in a body. And so our spirit, we know what that does. Our spirit connects to God. That's who we are eternally. Our soul is our mind, our thinker, our chooser, our reasoner. And then our flesh is our earth suit, or our body is our earth suit. It's what allows us to stay on this earth. And when your mind is not in a good place, when your mind is tired, when your mind is drained, when your mind has too much pressure on it, your body breaks down and you make bad decisions. And so what you want to do is keep feeding your mind, not just the word. And the word is paramount for you to be feasting on and thinking about. The Bible says meditate in the word day and night, and then you'll have good success over in Joshua chapter 2. But you also need to feed your mind with good books to educate yourself. The Bible even says, beloved, I wish above all things that you would prosper even as your soul prosper, which means your level of understanding will determine your level of prosperity. So you have to get your mind in a place of healthiness so that you can grow, so that you can prosper on the level that you want to. And so for these athletes, and you're seeing more and more athletes, you see this in basketball, we've also seen it in football. I'm sure it's going to happen in baseball soon because of how long their season is. So I'm just wondering what the NBA is going to start to put in place, for these mental health days. And are these going to be more of a load management? Could mental health go under load management and be accepted throughout sports? I don't know, but I do know that something needs to happen because you see more and more of our athletes breaking down because they're tired mentally. Let's switch over to football for a second. Saquon Barkley, which is the New York Giants running back, signed a contract that made it look significantly grim for running backs in the NFL. Over in Luke chapter 10, verse 7, it says this: "And in the same house remains eating and drinking such things as they give, for the laborer is worthy of his hire." The laborer is worthy of his hire. So it's been kind of a quiet season, off season for running back. Several of the league's best bell cows or running backs, including Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, and Josh Jacobs, all remain without long-term contracts, which has triggered a movement across the league of running backs banding together to get the money they feel they deserve. While Barkley has been the loudest of the running backs proclaiming their frustration, he signed a one-year contract worth over $10 million with several incentives. These include an additional $300,000 if Barkley rushes for 1,350 yards and the Giants make the playoffs, 11 total touchdowns and a playoff berth, and 65 receptions and a playoff berth. If all the incentives are met, Barkley can make a maximum of $11 million. This more than anything is a grim look at where the future of the running backs contracts is heading. Short-term with incentive-laden contracts. That's pretty sad because here you have Barkley, first of all, who is over 50% of the offense for the Giants. And if the Giants don't make the playoffs, you don't make money. That's not the same thing for the quarterback. That's not the same thing for the receivers. If you don't get X amount of yards, 1,350 yards, you don't get your incentives. You don't get your extra $1 million in incentives. And for me, I think this is really terrible because what you're doing is you're making these players, first of all, let's say the quarterback wants to throw the ball more than he wants to run the ball. What does that do for your money? Or let's say the quarterback says, we're going to throw the ball, but our receivers are wide open while they're stopping you. So that means you may not get your 65 receptions. Or it could be the last game of the season and the coach comes down from the owner saying, listen, do not give the ball to Barkley. Run all the plays to somebody else so he doesn't get his numbers. That to me is dirty pool, and you can't keep doing that to players and think they're going to produce the way you want them to produce. You have to be able to look at a man and say, you have proven to us up to now that you have been a workhorse and you got us into the playoffs, even with a fair to middling quarterback. You have still gotten us into the playoffs. You have still putting butts in the seats. You have still been able to make us money. But now when it's time for us to pay you for the money you've made, we want to nickel and dime you and penny pinch you and say you weren't as valuable to us, or you're not as valuable to us as you've been. You're now getting older. You've been you've had some injuries, and now we don't think you're worth what you're asking for. And to me, this is really a bad look for the owners and a bad look for the NFL as a whole. Because what you're going to begin to see is players are going to say on the high school, at the college level, I don't want to be a running back because running backs get beat up, have the shortest career, and make the least amount of money. I would rather be a receiver. I'd rather be a tight end. I'd rather be a quarterback. I'd rather be anything else other than somebody who's going to take the most punishment and get paid the least. And we'll see what rules are going to have to change in the NFL if there becomes a shortage of running backs and they won't do it. You'll see. But this is definitely a bad look for the NFL. It's a bad look for the owners who are doing this. And it's really I want to see what the NFL union is going to do about this, because there should be a way to protect these players. There should be a way to go, no, you're not going to do that. If that's what you're going to do to our running backs, NFL, then sooner or later, what you're starting with the running backs is also going to be with the quarterbacks. It's also going to be with the receivers, because let's just say you take a quarterback and say, listen, in order for you to get your $15 million this year, you cannot throw more than 8 interceptions, and you have to throw for more than 2,000 yards. But let's say you put some horrible receivers around them, or your main receiver gets injured. Then what do? Or the receivers. You got to catch for more than 8 touchdowns and receive for more than 1,500 yards. How does that work if my receptions is really tied to the quarterback and whether or not he wants to throw the ball to me, or tied to the offense and whether or not they put me in for me to get the catches? This is a bad look. And once you open this Pandora's box, and I'm looking for the players union to step up and say, no, you're not going to do that. You are not going to sit up here and put these players in a position where they cannot make their money like you said they were, and where they cannot get their due, they're putting their lives on the line. Okay, so let's keep this going. Let's say you put the defensive lineman. If the quarterback gets sacked more than 8 times this year, then you lose your incentives or your bonuses. What if the quarterback is holding the ball too long? What if he's a rookie? So again, this doesn't not look good. Or you go on the defensive side. That's just offense. If we are not keeping teams, within 3 touchdowns a game or a touchdown a game, you hold them down, then there's not going to be bonuses for the defense. This is too it's too iffy for the players, because now there's also going to be little to no guaranteed money if it's an incentive related contracts. So I don't like this. Let's just take this from the natural standpoint. Let's say, as a pastor, I go to my youth leader and say, listen, if you don't get at least 300 youth to come every week to service, then we're not going to pay you. You're getting paid. If I'm supposed to give you 30,000 a year or pay you 50,000 a year to be my youth pastor, and you're only have 100 kids come in a week, then I go, well, listen, I'm going to pay you based upon who shows up. For 100 youth, you're going to get 30. If you get 40, if you get 200 youth, you'll get 40. If you bring 300 youth, you'll get 50. And anything over that, we can negotiate. What does that mean? Does that mean I'm an ineffective youth pastor because the numbers aren't showing up? What if the church is in an area where there isn't youth and they don't have transportation? So there's too many factors that makes you go, this isn't right. This shouldn't be done this way. And so I'm just looking for the NFL or the players union to go, no, something else got to be done. We're not going to accept that. This isn't going to be allowed. And I just pray for the negotiations between the players union and the owners to be, first of all, solid, for that to be fair, for it to be feasible for both sides. Because right now, you'll look at plenty NFL players, ex-NFL players, who have major health issues and a terrible pension. Just a terrible pension, and they have major health issues. So I'm just looking for, again, the players union and the owners not just to think about money in their pocket, but also think about the product that they're putting out and the people that are helping to produce and to bring the money in to their pockets so that all can be made whole. So with that being said, listen, I want you to have an amazing week this week. There's so many things that you're going to be hit with. Today's Tuesday night. Tomorrow's hump day, the middle of your week. What can you do to make your week better? What is it that you need to do to make your week, the rest of your week, the most productive week you could possibly have? Make it up in your mind that you are going to be a producer, that you are going to be a finisher, that you are going to be a person who is a motivator in how you do what you do. I'm telling you, whatever you do in this world, you can be the best at it. So take the time to learn your craft, take the time to pray and ask God how you can be the best you can possibly be, and how you can be an extreme asset to your business, your company, your ministry, the people in your life. So this is your week to shine. Be the best you can be. So with that being said, thank you for tuning in to the #1 faith-based sports talk show in the entire world, Into His Courts. You can tune in every Tuesday night from 7 to 7:30, 98.7 FM, Joy 1340 AM. And until next week, have an amazing week. Peace.